Version 256 of Superman has been out for a bit, and we have done some Superman-style effects over the years, like this takeoff with a sweet, authentic costume, or a few versions of laser vision. I haven't seen Superman 513 yet, but the flying shots in the trailer do look great. And we're not trying to recreate those shots, we're more using them as inspiration. And again, I haven't seen Superman 730, but I have seen Sketch, which is out in theaters right now. And even saying that out loud gives me goosebumps because it was written and directed and edited by one of the greatest humans I've ever known, Seth Worley. And this film was an 8-year labor of love that he never gave up on. And it's one of the best family-friendly films of the last few decades. It's dark and funny, exciting, and it doesn't talk down to a young audience in a way that we haven't really seen since the 80s and early 90s. So please support original films that actually rule and go see that ASAP in theaters. You're going to love it.
I know we're supposed to be scared of it, but it's kind of beautiful.
For this one, we're leaving Justin standing upright. We don't have wires or rigs, and we are seeing under his chest, so we can't have him laying down either, so he's standing. And to start, we tested the idea out by throwing up a green screen outside and using my iPhone as the test camera, which we did end up just staying with the iPhone because it worked out so well. Since this is just a test and a lot of the areas ended up outside of the green screen, I don't want to spend a ton of time on roto, so instead I tossed the shot into Runway ML and used their AI roto to get a quick result. And this is impressively fast, but the results aren't production ready, so this will only be good enough for our test. After that, I looked for some stock backgrounds on Artlist for us to use, since now I want to find the exact background that we're going to be using here so we can shoot to match that as closely as possible. And I found a ton of great looking footage. That didn't work for what we needed. Looks great though. But with the angle and speed that we want, we'd really need to take out a drone to make a custom plate, but we don't have the time or money, so we decided to use Unreal Engine instead, which also comes with the added perk of setting the light however we want. And since I'll be able to adjust my digital shot in Unreal Engine to match my live action shot, I'll just grab generic sky footage from Artlist that I can use to get a general sense of what is and isn't working with our test. And what I'm using for that here, right inside of Premiere, is their Artlist library panel. And it is one of my favorite things. I'm able to search for my background here without having to leave Premiere, and like on the site, I have a ton of filters that I can put on to help drill down to what I need. So I'll search sky, and this will work fine. So I'll toss that in, then my sloppy roto of Justin, and then I'll grab a smoke asset here as well. So I'll come back into the footage area inside of the Artlist panel, but this time I'll go to filters, then video theme, and VFX overlay. And I'll search for smoke fast, and this one will do. Again, I'm not trying to make something that looks good. I just want a sloppy look to catch any potential issues before we do our real shoot. And while this definitely doesn't look good, I can see that his feet will be an issue, so we'll plan to do that separately. For full transparency, Artlist is the sponsor of today's episode, but you've heard me sing their praises for over a decade, and the panel is genuinely great. They're also running a contest right now where you could get $100,000 to make your dream project, but we'll talk more about that later. With the test out of the way, we went out to get our real shot, and now knowing I don't need the side of the green screen, we just laid it out on the floor to get as much coverage there as possible. I also didn't like that direct, harsh sunlight that we were getting with the test, but I did still want that natural day ambience. So we did shoot outside, but we went to the shadow side of the building and used a bounce to give Justin a nice side light. Then we hit him with some wind, grabbed a few takes, and we were good to go. If this was for a full project of any kind, I would want to build my environment from scratch, but you know, deadlines. So instead, I grabbed that Matrix City map from the Unreal Engine Marketplace, which is free. Then I downloaded and waited exactly 40 years for it to open, since this project is absolutely massive. But in here, I can set up whatever flight path I want, adjust the angle of light if needed, then export a plate out and send this off with our shot of Justin to Thompson for compositing. But before I send, I jumped over to Artlist's site to sift through their Luts, which they have a lot of. And for each, you can see a before and after and choose a different image to see how it affects them differently. This one seems solid, so I'll send that along with the footage so that Thompson and I can work off the same general idea of a final look. As we've shown in the past, we're going to break the key into different parts to give us more control, masking the head and using the track mask function when useful, keying the green screen, and then repeating with duplicates for the different sections until we have a full key. We didn't like how flat and static his feet feel, so with the duplicate, we'll use the roto brush effect, selecting the shirt, which works perfectly as a cutoff point, and after going through the frames, making any alterations needed, we freeze the effect and use a mask to roto just the legs area. Then in the effects dropdown, add this mask for the compositing options, meaning the effect will only be visible inside of it. And after keyframing the mask, we can use this layer as a mat for the body layer to remove the legs. Which is when I realized I forgot to shoot the feet separately, so we went out again. This time I had Justin hanging from something so his feet could dangle, and we grabbed a few quick stationary shots that Thompson could plug in. So now we'll track the original footage in Mocha AE and apply a null, then drop in the new plate. Line it up correctly, mask and key, link to the null, and apply motion blur. We used a liquefy effect to alter the shape slightly and a puppet pin tool, adding several points. Then, in the effects dropdown, we'll select the points on the feet, alt-click the position stopwatch, and add this wiggle expression, which means the points will randomly move around independently from each other, giving a floaty feeling. We then keyframe position and scale, changing over time to work with the perspective shift as the camera moves closer, and added an advanced spill suppressor to remove any green, then rendered out with alpha, and now we have our final of Justin. We also wanted to swap out the sky, but wanted full control while compositing. So we exported a version of the shot from Unreal on alpha with the sky removed, so we could use that as a matte, then tossed in a free HDRI from polyhaven.com. Now we'll create a new comp and add in the background, our Justin render, and the track we made earlier. Link the background to the track, deleting its scale and rotation keyframes, then change the background position, scale, and rotation to feel more correct with Justin's angle. We'll also use a new null to move both the background and Justin lower at the start for better framing. Then we just altered each layer's placement and scaling throughout the shot. As Justin gets closer to camera, we can use an optics compensation effect, keyframe to increase over time, giving more of that wide angle warp. We'll also keyframe a lens blur effect on the background to increase as he gets closer as well. Next, we'll add some color effects to balance the comp and bring out the sunlight a little bit on Justin, and shadows for when he passes taller buildings, which we did by keyframing a curves effect on and off with a mask so that it's just affecting him. We also added some soft glow and a lens flare, and so far it's looking good, but we need some atmosphere to really feel the speed and glue everything in. So I'll go back to the panel here and the VFX overlays, which they have a ton of: lightning, fire, snow, asteroids, bullet shells, and of course, smoke. So I can grab one of these and drag it right into my timeline, then set it to screen to test it out, make sure it looks good, and it's already doing a lot, so I can send this off to Thompson to include. But we wanted to build it out a touch further with a very specific direction and speed to the smoke. So we went into the studio and shot some smoke assets against a black background. We just used our haze spray cans to shoot past the camera, and that was it. Back in the comp, we're going to use a curves to add contrast and flow motion effect to give more of a warped vanishing point. And with a new adjustment layer and a fast blur effect, set this to use the smoke as a lumimat and alter opacity if needed. Next, on a new adjustment layer, we'll use Red Giant Universe's shake effect with a high motion blur and change the values to get a fast, jittery shake. For some additional lens details, we used an asset from a new pack that we're releasing soon, this bokeh accent. We'll place this over to the left and create a new adjustment layer, then use a transform effect to increase scale, a fast blur effect with boosted radius, and use the asset as a lumimat before setting to screen. Now we can use a boosted exposure effect on the asset to control how visible the blur is, and the asset is animated so that the bokeh will change throughout the shot. Finally, we finished off with some chromatic aberration and of course our color grade. Now with the shot done, the final touches will be sound. First, I'll find music that makes sense here, and I'm again doing this inside of the panel, which is honestly how I work with every episode, mainly because you can just drag and drop, but also because a lot of these tracks have stems. So when you see this little symbol here, you can click to get all the stems available for that track. So if this is a song that works great, but there's this layer or two you don't like, you should be able to customize that. For me, the process looks like this. Grab all the stems, drop those into a sequence, stack them up, then tweak the mix or layers how I want, then I drop that sequence into my main timeline. It is genuinely an amazing way to work with music in any kind of creator video. So now the last bit of sound I'll add is a wind sound effect of some kind. I like this one here, so I'll drop that in one and then let it rise in volume throughout the shot. Then I'll grab another to get a bass for the low end, and finally some sound to feel the movement of his close a bit. This desert flag sound should work great for that, so I'll drag that right in as well, and we have our final shot. The shot isn't perfect. One of my biggest issues is that we needed a lot more wind, but I am genuinely surprised at where we were able to take it, with Justin standing upright, filmed with an iPhone, and a background from a pre-made city map in Unreal Engine. I find flying shots to be a more annoying thing to make as well, and this process was actually a ton of fun too. Not that it matters for the end result, but it does for my mental health.
Wow, so healthy.
And as promised, let's talk about the Artlist 100K Fund. This is Artlist's third year of the biggest creator fund ever, and as the name suggests, they're giving away $100,000 to one creator. All you have to do is post a 90-second video on your socials showcasing your concept, then you tag artlist.io and use the hashtag Artlist100KFund, then fill out the application and submit your idea before August 14th. I said this already on Instagram, but many of us have killer ideas that are only being held back by budget. So if you have an idea, concept, or project that you're in love with and wanting to get moving, definitely jump on this. Of course, there's only one winner, but I am all for anything that gives motivation for creation. Trademark.
Wow, so creative.
So head over to artlist.io or check the link in the bio for that and to get on Artlist for all the other reasons. But that's it for today. If you dug the episode, do us a solid and like and subscribe, plus hit the bell so you're notified when we put up new videos. And until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.